Hello everyone, this is Peter Wom for Australian Motorcycle News with an update about the background information that I'm going to give you about the Argentina MotoGP race. The race. Yesterday was a sprint, today is the race, and then we had an entertaining race. As quite often is the case, the race is more interesting than the sprint. But the sprint is just too hectic, too extreme. So shortly after the start, after the first 2 laps in the sprint, the positions are more or less done because nobody needs to think about fuel consumption, tire wear, strategies. It's just what the word says, a sprint. Race is another thing. Today we saw a race with everybody not on the soft rear tire. Most of the people on the medium rear tire. Was some gambling going on, and it was a lot better show. It was a lot better show. It was not for the win. The win was, for me, at least for me, was never in anybody other's hands than in Marquez, who won this race again. The only guy that was able to follow him, he allowed him even to lead, was his brother Alex, who's riding really, really well. Let's be honest, Alex is not the special talent level of his brother, but he's quite smart. He wants it very, very badly. He learned a lot over the years. And he's on a very, very good bike. I mean, last year's Ducati is, even Mark is not on a very different bike than last year's bike. So, yeah, Mark and Alex immediately had a special pace. Mark was going to win it, but then he decided, I don't think if he will say it like that, but he couldn't shake off his brother, and he looked very, very confident. He had a couple of little moments, and then he went wide into turn 1. Allowing his brother to lead, because his brother has 2 or 3 corners where all weekend he was faster than Mark. So Mark decided, Alex, I'm going to study your lines and I'm going to save my tires following you, and then with a couple of laps to go, I'll see if I still can do something against you. And with 7 laps to go, he had a first go at his brother. Didn't work out. He outbraked him, but went really wide this time. And then half a lap later, he did it. So, and then he won with a couple of seconds, like 1.5 seconds. So Mark was controlling the whole situation. Didn't have a very easy time. So he decided, I'll let somebody else, my brother, leading. But then he was winning it convincingly. The guy in third, Franco Morbidelli, is a bit of a surprise. I think he looks better now in P3 than he really is, because he gambled with a soft rear tire. There were only a few of the guys on a soft rear tire, and it did work out. He was very aggressive in the start. He had a really good start. He managed to save the rear tire, to use the soft, but don't overuse it. And that was it. So he finished third. Pecco Bagnaia, who's not in a position to gamble, he need to bring the fight to Mark. He need to fight for the World Championship. He could not afford to choose what was probably the wrong rear tire. So he went for the medium, just like 90% of the field. And he just has no answer for Mark and Alex, but also not for Franco Morbidelli on the soft rear tire. So Pecco Bagnaia gets a lot of hits recently. And the bad news for him is the next race is in Austin, and when Marquez starts in Austin, he always wins. So that's going to be another one for Pecco. He has to wait until we get back to Qatar. Qatar is going to be the first time that Pecco is on the track that he really loves, that he likes, that he can do his best and see what he has against Mark. Because at the moment, nobody has anything against Marc Marquez. So, 5th place, Fabio Gianantonio. That was another gambler with a soft rear tire, and he's on a 25 Ducati. So that's all just fine. P6, Johan Zarco, and I would love to have seen him in P4. He was in P4 for quite some time. I was thinking shortly maybe he can bring the fight to Pecco and fight for third, which would be lovely, because Zarco, you have to love Zarco. He's such a weird character, but such a good guy, and he's on a Honda, which comes from, no, I don't need to explain you where Honda was. So, but it did work out like that. So in the last lap he lost another place, so instead of 4th he finished not even 5th but 6th, but still in 7.5 seconds from the first on a Honda. That's yesterday 4th, now he's 5th. Honda definitely made a step, and Zarco, being a real warrior, doesn't need 1 or 2 races to find his confidence. Immediately enjoys what the Honda can do and does a really good result with it. Speaking of really good result, we had Brad Binder in P7. I mean, I hate to say it because I was expecting KTM's to be a lot more in the front, but KTM's financial problems, lack of development, they bring the bike that is not a lot faster, probably nothing faster than the end of last year. And Binder made a really good result with it, and it all comes down to the first 200 meters and then the first 2 laps, because Binder is a genius at the starts. I think he came from P13 or something. Had a really good start, is very, very, like, I would say aggressive in the first 2 laps, but he doesn't throw people in the gravel trap. He doesn't lose wings by passing people. He's just very smart in using the relatively cold tires to the maximum and deciding where to dive and so on. So he makes up a lot of places, and then he didn't drop as a stone like they did yesterday in the sprint. So Binder in P7, but it's on 14 seconds. So that's the first KTM. And that's more down to Brad Binder, because his mentality and his talent brings it there. It's not because the KTM is such a good bike. That brings me to P8, Ayagura. Yesterday and in the qualifying, he wasn't really there, so he didn't start from a very good place. Yesterday he ruined his whole start himself again and then had no answer from nobody. So yesterday was, I mean, the guy is up and down. Last race, Burirami was too good to be true. Everything went for him. I wouldn't call it luck, but there was at least no problem with a beautiful bike. Up until this race, he didn't have that luck. And then he struggles, like you expect from a rookie. But then today he had a really, really good start, made no mistake, brought the fight to everybody, was really cool and calm in the fights. And Ayagura as a rookie finishing in P8 as the first Aprilia shows you need a really stable, calm head like I had and a really, really good bike as a rookie. And then you can immediately make a jump and have people behind you that won already MotoGP race, because the Aprilia is very good, Ayagura is very cool. And the guy behind him was Pedro Acosta. Now, for me, he's talent-wise, he's still in a super, super high level where just 2-3 other people are in MotoGP. I'm not sure if he's intelligent and strong enough in his head, but I know his bike is definitely not up to it. But today he was clearly beaten by Brad Binder by the start, by the first couple of laps. So we saw Acosta battling with Agura, with Mir, but not doing anything special. The way he looks on the bike to me is like he lost a little bit the drive, the extra motivation to extract the best out of a bike that is clearly not up to the level. So difficult race for Pedro Acosta. Hard to say. P10, Joan Mir. Okay, just okay, because the Honda is there. Luca Marini 11 shows that if Luca Marini is 11, because he's a very, very good development rider, but I don't rate him very, very much, and he hates risk. So if he finishes in 11, then the Honda really made a good step. Then we get to the first Yamaha, Alex Rins, which is bullshit. Where Yamaha is at the moment is they are in a terrible place. And it not helped that Fabio Quartararo was doing a really, really good start, actually got hit from behind at the start. Later about that more. So yeah, Yamaha had a difficult day. P12 was Alex Rins, a couple of seconds followed by Jack Miller in P14, who had also a catastrophic start. And then what do? You know, that's it in MotoGP, because you're on a Yamaha, and then if the start is not super, super brilliant, you are ending up somewhere between 10 and 14 place. That's where they are. So Fabio was sent out in the first corner and dead last, but still finished 15, although on 25 seconds. Now, there was an accident that I hated, and it's Marco Bezzecchi ran into the back of Fabio Quartararo at the start in the run into turn 1. Now, it's not like Bezzecchi is not a rookie. It wasn't very, very stupid what he did, but there is something in MotoGP, since the aero and the ride height devices are there, that makes the start not only very, very important, but also quite dangerous situation. And if you make a little bit of a mistake, if you overjudge a little bit your situation at the start, you can easily, more easy than in the past, end up running into the back of people. Because suddenly in the braking zone, everybody, first of all, with all the ride height devices, everybody arrives as one group. Nobody makes a terrible start anymore. Even if you make a terrible start, you're still in the group. You just have a lot of riders very, very close before you. But it's because of the aero, you also get sucked into the vacuum behind other riders. And then if you already try to brake late and then suddenly have no air resistance during the braking, Pecco was nearly running into the back of Fabio Gianantonio, had the rear wheel off the ground trying to avoid Fabio Gianantonio. Then he decided to go wide, and there was Fabio Quartararo, and he just ran into the back of him. So Unfortunately, with the current state of MotoGP, up until the new regulation 27 goes in, this is every start I cross my fingers and close my eyes because it's a dangerous situation. And this time it was Marco Bezzecchi. Can be anybody else, especially some tracks like Barcelona where the start is a long sprint to the first corner and the first corner is super tight. That's where I really hate to think about that we go there. So I enjoyed the race because there was a lot of fighting going on in the group with Binder, Ogura, Acosta, Zarco, Fabio Gianantonio. The track, I love this track. It's a beautiful track. It's super high average speed. They go 175 km/h average. So that's, and you see how tight the last two corners are. They're really, really slow. So it has parts of Phillip Island, parts of Asse in it. Also parts of Motegi, so a little bit of everything. But the fast flowing parts make this track very, very interesting. You could see the first 5, 6, 7 laps, a lot of overtaking was done, but then immediately you lose the place again, because if you're on a high speed going left and right, you put it under somebody, quite likely the next corner you will be 1.5 meters too wide and the guy will come back on you. So you change position twice a lap, still make a really good lap time, but don't make the place, or sometimes you do. So I love this track. I found it a really interesting race. I can even enjoy seeing Marc Marquez playing with others, because I always enjoy when I see a genius doing something genius. But the things are really, really grim at the moment for Pecco Bagnaia, basically for everybody else. So for the championship, for the tension for the championship, from now on it's Marc Marquez that only can lose it, and he can lose it. So let's not forget that. But I can enjoy seeing a genius doing genius things, like I said earlier. So and there was a lot of battling and fighting going on between P3, P4, P5 up until P10. Fortunately, the television this time really saw all the action and had it. So yeah, all in all, a really good race. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I look forward to inform you at the next race in America in a couple of weeks. Thanks. Bye bye.